What's happening, everybody? This is Bruce Madsen, your host of the show. And before we dig in, like I always tell you guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you want to. I don't care. Go ahead. Let's keep it real. And then ring that bell so you don't miss any of these notifications when I drop videos. I dropped one yesterday, by the way. And I'm dropping another one today. So they're coming at you. I'm pumping out content. And you want to be involved because you're going to be a better fantasy football player because of it. And yesterday, on the previous video, go back and check it if you want to, about Jalen Reagor, I brought up Darnell Mooney, about how he was one of the best, or the best, deep ball specialists in the 2020 wide receiver class, and how he was underrated. And then I said I was going to make another video about him because I started chopping it up and I didn't want to get sidetracked. Well, right now is that video. Him being able to stretch the field alone makes him valuable. You can say that COVID, him not being able to work out with a lot of teams during the draft process, hurt his stock. Another thing, you could say that this wide receiver class was so deep, there's a lot to choose from. That kind of hurt his stock as well when it comes to draft capital, because the talent was so diluted that somebody had to fall. Might as well have been some of the smaller school guys or lesser known guys. So that makes sense in those regards. But that doesn't mean he's not talented. That doesn't mean he shouldn't have been there. He is a good player, and we're seeing this now for the Bears. Throughout his rookie season this year, we've seen his snap share, his amount of snaps, increase from week 1 to now. Now he's a key staple of the team, but he started off with like a 32% snap share, and it gradually went up each week until he became a key proponent of the offense. He's keeping Anthony Miller at bay. He has been making plays downfield. He's getting a 15% target share right now. That's his average on the year, which doesn't sound like much, but you have to think Allen Robinson's the target hog there. He gets a large or a big plethora of the targets, and for him to be able to siphon 15% share is pretty good, especially when you got Anthony Miller there, sporadic quarterback play, and then he is really getting the yards downfield. He has 793 air yards on the season. That's a 25% share of all the air yards. That's 3%. That's 3% less than Allen Robinson, who's sitting at 28% of the air yards on the team. So when it comes to the ball being in the air, the air yards, he is getting more than his fair share, and that's because he can stretch it deep, and they know he can make plays down the field. The one thing that's been really hurting him this season is bad quarterback play. I've seen it on social media. I've seen it a lot of other places, that if not only me, myself, thinking this way, but if Darnell Mooney had better quarterback play, we'd be thinking of him in a whole different light. Like first-round rookie pick value type of deal. Because he converts plays, he gets downfield, he runs good routes. And he's an underrated route runner. He can set DBs up, sets them up with his eyes, way he snaps his head. Little nuanced things that you have to watch the tape 2 or 3 times on that same play to really see what he's doing. But he is ahead of schedule in his development, for sure. And we saw this in Tulane. We saw this on the tape. It was like play after play after play of him making spectacular catch, of him getting downfield, of him rising above the defender, climbing that ladder to catch the ball. And it's coming to fruition right now, man. Him with the Bears. I'm telling you, if he had better quarterback play, his value would be through the roof right now. For Dynasty fantasy football purposes, Darnell Mooney is a hell of value. He's a guy that you can get still cheap. You can probably give him a 3rd-round rookie pick, maybe a second guy overvalued, but I'm not against spending on him. The best way to get him is a throw-in in a much larger trade. That's the best way to get him. That's the cheapest way to get him. There are going to be owners or fantasy football managers, the more correct way to say it, that that are valuing him at full value or even more because they see the potential. They see what I'm seeing. This is not new. I'm not the first person to say this. This is coming out of the woodwork. You're getting a guy that is getting deep targets, who is showing ball skills, and he showed it in college. He showed it on tape, and now it's transitioning to the NFL level. He doesn't have the quarterback play to feed those higher acuity targets, so a lot of times he gets overthrown, or the pass probably shouldn't be going his way because he's covered, but he's drawing that. You can't ignore that. And this is what the Bears have been wanting for a long time. They've been trying to get guys to stretch the field for a while. They put some chips on Emmanuel Hall last year with a late pick. They drafted Riley Ridley with a 4th rounder, and they just finally got themselves a good receiver. And a lot can happen here. They can get a new quarterback, new coaching staff. Things change in the NFL, and it changed at a rapid pace. And Allen Robinson could go. And if Allen Robinson leaves, who's going to get those targets? It's probably going to be Mooney. Mooney, maybe more to Miller, but Mooney has showed his worth in the passing game to where he should be getting targets. He should be getting looked at. For redraft purposes, it sounds like I'm over the moon for Mooney. However, you need to be a little bit timid. I wouldn't suggest going all in on him on the waiver wire right now. I would just see what happens depending on your roster. He's more matchup dependent right now, depending on what's going on. If something happens to Allen Robinson, I'd run and hurry to the waiver wire to get him. But this is more for Dynasty fantasy football because his value is cheap enough where you can get a good wide receiver at a fair price and have him on your roster for a long time. This guy came in to the NFL with a great profile. He broke out in college at 18.9 years old. He had a 36.5% dominator rating, and he had 17.8 yards per reception. So college, he was getting passes downfield, stretching it, and he's doing it now at the NFL level. He's a young player, and it doesn't cost much on the trade market for you to invest in him. That's the best thing. So if he busts, like if everything just turns on his head, he tears his ACL and never comes back, the loss is minimal. It's a no risk. It's almost a no risk acquisition here. I'm telling you. Kick the tires on Darnell Mooney in your Dynasty leagues. You'll be thanking me later. And if it doesn't turn out, you're going to forget about it because you didn't pay much for him. Those are the best deals to make. Those little penny stock deals, because this could turn either way. 2 years from now, he could be the next Tyler Lockett, for all we know. I'm not saying this guy's going to blow up. I'm saying this guy is at a price point that you can't ignore because he has the potential to exceed that price point with fantasy football results and production. And his price point's so low that if he does not exceed expectations and he falls to the wayside, it's not going to hurt you at all. You can probably get him free as a throw-in a much bigger deal, depending on the owner, depending on his manager in fantasy, and how he's valued. There are some leagues where probably half the league mates in that league are not privy to what he could potentially do. Like they're not aware of his athletic metrics, his college production. They just see a late round pick from Tulane who's had some nice games, and they're probably not aware of his air yards, his deep ball targets, and what he could potentially do if he did eventually got better quarterback play, or if Allen Robinson left or got hurt and the distribution of targets switched. This isn't a guarantee anything's going to happen good for Mooney or us if we acquire him. but the risk is minimal. And those are types of moves I like to make, especially for a young rookie. If he was from a much larger school and he had more draft capital, say second round or higher, he would have a huge fan base following on social media in the fantasy football spectrum due to his potential. But since he was a small school guy, late rounder, you don't hear much about him. You've heard some podcasts, some other YouTube videos, a few guys here and there, some ancillary jabronis talk about him, talk about his errors and stuff, trying to be like me. But he's got a lot of potential, and this is something we shouldn't ignore. His age is there. Quarterback play is not there, but it could be there, or it doesn't have to be that much better for him to be successful, because he is a talent. When you take into account his ball skills, his ability to get downfield, and his speed, highly look into Darnell Mooney if you can get him in Dynasty. Great end of bench stash. A guy that you're probably going to be using eventually in your lineups. I want to thank you guys for watching the show. I just pumped 2 shows back to back. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch my Jalen Reagor video. That video spawned this video. And if you're liking what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another episode. I'm not only talking fantasy football, I'm talking Devy fantasy football, Dynasty, college, NFL draft. My goal is to share my knowledge, my research, so you can be a better fantasy football player because of it. And I just want to build a community. So please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave me some comments. If you have a request of a player you want me to hit on, or a topic, or if you want to know my thoughts on a subject, player, team, whatever, just ask, and I might be able to accommodate you and make you a video. I'd be pretty excited to, actually. So please do that. Until then, though, try and acquire Darnell Mooney. Try and trade for Jalen Reagor. And I'll catch you next time.